I thought you were 11:15, but we'll take you right now. We'll take you anytime, man.
Yeah, I saw him pop in. I'm like, hell, let's put him on there right now. Let's go.
That's funny.
I mean, I can start at 11:15 if y'all want. Your call.
No, man, you're good. You are good, dude. Welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barn Dough Co. and served by Chicken Cock Bourbon, where you can find it near you in our Chief Sports app. Always live from the Sinorama Studios. Grayson Griner will join us later on. That was a great broadcast on TV last night with him and Kip talking back and forth, pitcher and catcher, in a dominating midweek win for the Gamecock baseball program. They'll head to a place nobody likes, Missouri. Today, as a matter of fact, they'll fly up there, and a 3-game set will begin tomorrow night. And so we're looking forward to that. We got plenty on that. But Stephen Garcia joining us to lead off the program. What's up, dude?
Same old shit, man. Just living the dream, man. Sweat my ass off down here in Tampa.
The beard looks good.
Yeah, I literally just trimmed it up. I was catching some flack from the wifey this morning.
Ah.
Yeah.
So how's everything going? Marriage and, well, not newborn now. What are you, 3 or 4 months old?
No, so she's almost 15 months.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm a year off. You're right.
Yeah. Yep.
Wait a second. Yeah, she was born last year. Yeah. Holy smokes. So how's everything going?
Good. Just have to restart the whole fatherhood thing again, after having 16, almost 10-year-old and now a 1-year-old. So it's fun though.
So how's Memphys doing with having a little under 2-year-old sister in there?
He's good. He's a good older brother, and I'm actually texting with his head coach right now, just trying to figure out what he needs to improve on as far as the football side of things. But yeah, I mean, he's making on a roll. He's doing all the right things. Just trying to stay on him, man. It's hard.
Dude, he's 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
How hard are you on him? Are you hard on him or no?
Oh yeah. We've gotten to plenty of headbutting competitions. So, I told him it's better to do that with me at home than it is with your coach. As I can clearly attest to, man, dealing with Coach Spurrier.
Have you has Coach Spurrier seen him throw it at all?
No.
Well, Steve, you got right here,
Exactly. I don't really want him to see him throw, to be honest with you.
Does he listen to you?
When I get on him, when I ask him politely, he doesn't really move that fast. So I gotta scream a little bit sometimes. And then he,
good motivation.
Then he gets moving pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is too funny. Yeah, this is the recreation of your college career.
No doubt about it.
That is wild, man. So you think I don't want to put you on the spot. You're his dad, obviously, but you know what it looks like. You think he's got a chance?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I think so. I was talking with Coach Beamer. I'm thinking we're going to come up there for their quarterback camp. If nothing else, just to kind of expose them to what it's like for the SEC and how competitive this whole quarterback operation is, especially coming out of high school with the transfer portal is just screwing all these high school kids over. So yeah, I mean, it should be an eye opener for him, and hopefully he makes the most out of that opportunity.
So what is important for a quarterback at that age, like 16, 17, like expose yourself to as many camps as possible? What do you tell these guys?
I mean, you'd be surprised how many kids are like, oh, I'm going on this bus tour to, Tulane, to Oklahoma, to all like going on these bus tours, these month-long bus tours that are these guys are charging like $5,000 to $8,000 for them to travel around, and they have an entire busload of them. And these kids aren't getting a damn thing out of those camps. They're just walking around the campus and taking cool pictures. It's a giant waste of time. And I tried telling these kids that, and if they got $5,000 or $10,000 to spend, then by all means go ahead and do it. But at 16 years old, man, it's just staying focused, locking in, focusing on you, getting your weight up, working on the small things, and getting ready for a big junior year, because that junior season is paramount. So we're kind of focused on that, and then it'll be more aside so I guess going in from your sophomore to junior year, to kind of answer the question fully, your sophomore to junior year, I think, is a good idea to kind of expose these guys to these collegiate camps and all that stuff, and get them on campus, kind of let them see how the inner workings of the colleges go. And then junior to senior year, that's when you really got to figure out what schools are interested, where to go to, how you want to get there. Are these coaches just kind of wasting your time, wasting my time? What are we doing here exactly? So it's an interesting world. It's a lot different than, when I was getting recruited.
Yeah, everything's a lot different, right? I've got a question for you on that here in just a little bit. Do you because you work, how many quarterbacks are you working with right now down there?
Oh,
a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
How many of them are like Memphys's age? How many of them are high school guys?
Probably a third of them. Yeah, I mean, recently my sister-in-law, her daughter's almost 10 years old as well, and she's a phenomenal athlete. So anyway, she's like playing competitive flag football, and girls flag football is taken off like big time down here. So anyways, long story short, I had her reach out to me, and they want me to start training like all their quarterbacks in that like South Tampa area. So I went out there last night, and I mean, it's interesting. These girls are pretty freaking good athletes for being as young as they are, and they tend to listen a little bit better too than the boys do.
Really?
Yeah,
that's not
for sure.
That's actually not surprising. All right, so how many or have you had any of these, or I don't know if they've asked you or you've just heard them bring it up, or do their parents bring it up, but how many of them are already discussing NIL?
One of them is discussing. He's committed to Florida State. He just got offered by Ole Miss the other day. So yeah, I'm setting him up with a buddy who I actually trained his 9-year-old son. Was an agent. Now he's going on his own thing, and he's getting involved with the NIL, and he's a good dude, man. He actually kind of gives a shit about the players, not necessarily about the money. So yeah. So anyways, I connected those guys together with his dad, and going to figure out a way to kind of navigate the NIL, because the dad's asking me, and I was like, dude, I would ask for as much money as possible. I mean, but I don't know what your market value is. I don't know anything about it. So I think it's really awesome that I have, a platform and a connection to connect these kids if they have the opportunity to get an NIL, to have a guy kind of navigate that landscape for them.
So because I mean, obviously you were recruited.
I just noticed it says Roach King on the bottom of my name.
Did you put that on there?
I did. I didn't know it was gonna be displayed. That's funny as hell.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. See, you be careful now. You put something else on there, it could backfire.
For sure.
So because that's such an interesting. It's really interesting to talk to like the high school coaches and like guys like you. You're not a high school coach. You can even probably say and do some things that coaches either can or don't want any part of. But I mean, there is a fine line, right? In chasing the money and chasing the right situation.
For sure.
You could take a bunch of money and go somewhere where you're not going to be happy, but you really want to get. I mean, how do you advise kids on that?
I don't know. And to be honest, I got a couple of kids that are in college and are trying to get in the portal, and one of them has gone in the portal out of Rutgers, and I'm like, dude, the grass ain't always greener, and he's still in purgatory, as I call it. He has no idea where to go. But now the Rutgers starting quarterback just left, so now I'm like, dude, you need to call Shiano and see if they'll welcome you back. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's worth a shot. The offense, you've been there for 2.5 years. You got a good reputation, a good rapport with him. Like, I would 100% call him back. But if I'm a college coach and you got a guy that bails on you, I'd be very hesitant to welcome him back. So yeah, it's very tricky, man. It's a double-edged sword. That's why that's not my expertise. My expertise is to get you ready to play college football. Yeah. It's my buddy Steve. That's his job to navigate the NIL and all that kind of situation.
If NIL was around when you were playing, could you even imagine like what would you have finished your career at Carolina? I mean, nobody knows. I mean, I would like to think you would have, but
I mean, as much money as these guys are getting paid, I mean, I'd like to think that I'd probably be up there as one of the higher paid guys. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know if I'd be alive with that kind of money in college.
I know.
I mean, I really don't know.
I know.
I mean, geez, I barely survived it on a little tiny little whatever I was getting. So I mean, it's tough out there.
Well, I mean, I think about like Coach, not just you, but like I think about like Coach Spurrier. I mean, could you imagine walking into Coach Spurrier's office and saying, "Coach, this guy, this group here is offering me a X number of dollars to transfer. What do what can we do?" I can only imagine the response.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
mean, you got to look at it. I mean, he's as cutthroat and as funny as any coach has ever lived. But I mean, you got arguably the greatest college coach in the history of the game calling it quits because he can't put up with that kind of stuff anymore. It's exhausting to him. Talking about Coach Saban,
yeah.
the guy literally had to retire because that's all that these parents and that's all these kids were asking about. Like, how much are you going to pay me? Not like, what are you going to do for me? How are you going to progress me as a player? How are you going to get me to the NFL? It's how much are you going to pay me today, right now? And how much are you going to pay me every year to stay here? I mean, I could not imagine going into Coach Spurrier's office and telling him that. He would laugh his ass off, I feel like.
No, I know. But I mean, he did, to his defense, he did advocate forever. Like, probably gonna want to pay these guys. I mean, I think a lot of people forget how smart Coach Spurrier is. He was way in front of this and trying to help save the game, but also you go in and start trying to negotiate with him. He's like, "Nah, maybe it's best for you to go on to Georgia then."
Exactly. And I mean, especially, I remember talking with Spurrier Jr. when they were at the with the Redskins. We're sitting there in pregame meal and just kind of shooting the shit with those guys and the receivers. And he's like, yeah, I was talking with Lavernius Coles and, I'm telling him like to run this 5 semi, you got to push to 12 yards, come back to 10. And Lavernius Coles looked at me, he goes, Coach, I make like 5 times more money than you. I'm going to run the route how I want to run it. And Spurrier Jr. kind of looked at me and was like, okay. I mean, you're right. So, I mean, that's what I'm getting at is, and I've heard it with the guys that are at Florida State, these defensive linemen are literally telling the defensive line coach, like, shut the hell up, coach. This is how I'm doing it. I'm making more money than you. I can 100% believe that after hearing some of the conversations that these kids are having, like even with their parents. I mean, it's these kids need an ass whipping in a hurry, I feel like.
I was going to say, how easy is it for you, Stephen, to kind of find these kids out there that, that you're helping along that are just like in it for the money and that's basically it.
I mean, that's it. Like I said, though, it's kind of a double-edged sword because at the same time, like, my advice would be, it's not always green on the other side. However, you have this much time in your life to make money from this sport, make as much money as you can because you're not guaranteed to make the NFL. Like, you're actually the complete opposite of guaranteed to make the NFL. So if you get a chance to make some money in college playing, then by all means, I think you should do it. But as Jamie said, man, you might not be happy. It's, the song, money doesn't equal happiness, or however that damn song goes. More money, more problems, or whatever.
More money, more problems. That's right.
That's true. I mean,
I don't want to bring up any Diddy action right now, but
yeah.
All right. So how about this? And then we'll get off this and actually like talk some ball, man. I want to talk football with you. But so there's a Ross do you know who Ross Dellinger is with Yahoo Sports?
I do not.
He's good. He's one of the better college football reporters out there who reports without opinion, which is rare these days. And he reported that he spoke with Charlie Baker, with the NCAA, and this was yesterday. Okay. And apparently, there is movement within the building to try to bring NIL in-house because, you've got all these collectives and stuff right now. We're actually expecting from a basketball standpoint, some breaking news soon here at South Carolina. But you got the collectives that are doing all this and they're like, we need to get this under the umbrella of the universities. But one of the things that they want to make sure that they attach to that is essentially if it doesn't have to be an employee-employer agreement, it can be an agreement as a contractor essentially. But in order for you to be able to cash out on whatever your NIL deal is, you've got to play. Like you can't get to the bowl game and say, well, I'm opting out. Like, right. No, well, then you're not going to get paid. So what, cause like, we just had this conversation this week about Spencer. Had the Gamecocks gone to a bowl game, from what we had heard, there was about a 99.9% chance that even if it was Birmingham, Stephen, he was playing. Rattler was playing because Rattler's a player. He wanted to play no matter what. He wasn't going to leave his guys hanging. You would have played, knowing you were such a competitor. You wanted to play ball. And I think it drives people crazy that these these dudes opt out when they get into bowl season. I mean, you're even seeing it in the playoffs. You know, like you're opted out of the play. You're going to win a national championship. You're not going to play. So what would you think about all that?
That's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. And I mean, it basically just comes down to the money. And I think these agents are getting in these kids' ears like, hey man, like you're going to be a top 10 pick. You shouldn't risk it. Injury, don't play. That's insane to me. I don't, that's all I can say on that comment. I just don't understand how that's a thing, but I'm a little bit older, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, guys like you, I mean, the guys that I know, you and Pat, and I mean, name whoever from any era. I feel like everybody I know would have played. Like, I'm not going to walk out on my teammates, man. We're playing.
Right.
So it is what it is. All right. So let's talk some ball, man. You mentioned you had talked to Coach Beamer. How's he sound? Sound optimistic?
Yeah, he does. I mean, but he's always optimistic. So
no, that's true. Yeah,
that's his mentality, and that's it's infectious. To be honest, it's a good characteristic to have.
Yeah, it's a great character, especially here. I mean, there was so much pessimism for so long, and he's found a way to kind of correct that. They've got players, Stephen. I mean, we saw what happened last year up front, and the big. Everybody's going to circle the offensive line. You got a young quarterback, and I'll get your thoughts on playing that position in this league at his age here in just a minute. But those guys up front, I mean, you watched them last year. It wasn't very good for a multitude of reasons. Injuries, of course, had a huge part in that. But as you well know, being the quarterback of the Gamecocks for 4 years, if you're not any good up front, you're not any good.
100%. And I think that's a huge reason why Coach Beamer went out and got Coach Elliott. I think that offensive line is going to be significantly improved. At least I hope. I mean, I hope for Sellers' health as well. But yeah, as you said, man, you're going to go as far as your offensive line goes, and that it's not an easy position. I mean, everybody can talk as much shit as they want, but I mean, going against these defensive lines especially in the SEC, I mean, these are some big boys. I mean, it's like hitting a train every single play. So it ain't easy, but that's life. That's life in the Serengeti, as they say. So I'm optimistic, like Coach Beamer. Just hopeful, but I think Coach Elliott's going to have that offensive line unit a lot more prepared, a lot more physical as well.
Well, yeah, I was about to ask you what does he bring to the practice field when he's out there? Like what not just in game, I know he's the run game coordinator and all that, but when you're practicing, like what changes because Sean Elliott is on the field?
I just think the level of intensity, and when you're intense, you're going to be more competitive. I don't know if his old age is catching up to him. It sure as hell doesn't look like it from the videos that I've seen. But yeah, he's gonna bring that energy and that enthusiasm, and it's another infectious characteristic. So it's gonna leach off to the offensive line, in my opinion. I mean, at least that's what I saw, when I was there with him, and just talking to him in general. He's a very enthusiastic guy, and I think it's gonna benefit him a lot.
He's such a Gamecock, and because you spent 2 years with Sean, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did it when you were playing? What did he? If you can mention specifics, so I'm trying to get some X's and O's, some real ball talk in here for our audience. Like, what did he bring to the offense that maybe you weren't doing before, or maybe you were, but he just improved it?
I mean, again, that was about 14, 15 years ago. That's many moons ago, many cold beers ago. So I don't really know as much of his strategic X's and O's, but
scheme-wise.
I mean, to be honest, I don't even remember who the offensive line coach was before him. I know we had Coach Walford for a year.
Yeah.
And I can't answer that question. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's because I think a lot of people look back at, you had a Spurrier offense, and then you had who, with what you could do as far as throwing the football, but you also could run the football. And then they had Connor for 3 years after that, and he was a little bit different. but you still think of a Steve Spurrier offense as one that is going to kind of pitch it around a little bit, even though you ran the football actually probably more than you threw it. A lot of people don't realize the numbers on that, but when you combine Sean and kind of what he brought down from App State and then Coach Spurrier, it just really made an interesting formula. What I'm trying to get my head around here is how he's going to add to Dowell Loggins' offensive scheme that we've really only seen. I don't even know if you would call that what we saw last year, if you'd call that his offense. I mean, from what I was told, and you probably know more than I do, I guarantee you do, they had to make bukus of adjustments because of the issues up front. So it really wasn't a full-fledged Dowell Loggins offense.
Right. And I will say this. I feel like Coach Elliott definitely simplifies the whole thing as far as protections and run schemes. At least that's how it was, when I was playing, that long ago. But I would assume that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm sure he's kind of staying the same way, and he's trying to simplify it for these guys to where it's not, when you start having confusion and you're calling out Mike and you don't know who the Mike is, and it's a recipe for disaster. So and I think that's going to help, especially with the young quarterback and Sellers. Having the offensive line kind of navigate who the Mike is and where to go to the second level. And that's Coach Elliott's bread and butter, just kind of simplifying everything and making sure the communication is firing on all cylinders.
Play your ass off. That's pretty simple. Or you don't play for Sean Elliott.
Yeah.
Stephen Garcia, it's 11:25. May the 2nd. We are on our way to summer and then fall and then football. So Lenore Sellers, and I know you haven't seen him really. I mean, he threw 4 passes last year, although he completed all 4 of them. And he just played in the spring game and it's a spring game, Stephen. So
I don't know much about spring games.
Yeah, I don't think you ever played one, did you?
I played in one. One time.
Yeah, well, so he's played in as many spring games as you have, and you were there for what, five seasons technically, and
yeah,
all right. So he's 2 for 2. Actually, he's played more. But being a young but he's still a freshman this year as the projected starting quarterback of the Gamecocks. I think if memory serves me correct, your most extensive action came in 2008, right? Early in your career. 2008 was when you kind of bursted onto the scene, and so what do you remember about that, and what is that like, being a young quarterback still kind of absorbing the speed of the game at this level? So we try to figure out what he's going to go through here.
I mean, it was a lot different back then because, to be honest, there wasn't anybody that was doing the quarterback training in that realm of, kind of getting these guys prepared. I feel like these guys that are coming out of high school now are significantly more prepared than they were, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I say that, strictly from experience. But that being said, you can do all the training in the world. There's nothing like live bullets flying at you. I mean, you could ask any military guy that. You can do all the training you want. When live bullets are fired at you, I mean, it changes the whole thing. So I think he's going to be more prepared than people are going to give him credit for, especially, he had some action last year. So I think it'll slow down for him a little bit. But, I mean, like I said, there's nothing like live action.
Yeah, and because he was able to sit there and watch Spencer Rattler perform for 12 games. I mean, I can't imagine the value in that, watching this kid who's – so Rattler, a 5th-round draft pick, man, didn't that surprise you a little bit?
I don't know. I know that he was catching a lot of flack for, his thing in high school. I guess some GMs couldn't get past that. I think I read somebody said that literally affected his draft stock. I forgot which GM or coach or scout, whatever, said that.
Do you buy that though?
I think that's so ridiculous, but
yeah,
I wouldn't put it past people. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of shocking, especially, winning the MVP of the Senior Bowl. I thought he'd probably get drafted a little bit higher, but that's why I'm not an NFL scout or GM.
I guess. I think the only time that something ridiculous, I'm with you, it's ridiculous. I think the only time that really comes into play is if somebody doubts doubt you as a player. I mean, think about all the guys that get drafted every year who've had crazy
major character issues. Oh yeah.
But they can play, and so they take the chance on them. And then you know how it works. You know, a lot of these guys get into the NFL, and they basically have a caretaker following them around all the time, and you know, it's a buddy system that they put them in to protect their investment. I think Lamont Paris said we had Coach Paris on our program back in March, and he had mentioned this before, but he also mentioned it on the show with Phil and JC and myself. And he was talking about when the Gamecock basketball team was picked last at SEC Media Days, and he said, I told my guys either they think I suck, they think you suck, or they think we both suck. That's the only reason why you're picked where you are. So, like, if you're Spencer Rattler, it's pretty simple, right? Like, that should motivate him. Somebody thinks I'm not a good player.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't put a chip on your shoulder, I don't know what would. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into details, but I don't understand how that first overall pick is going to do in a locker room. That guy seems like an absolute cancer.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So
he at one point in time, and who knows the truth and all that, but he had floated the idea of his rookie contract, having some sort of equity stake.
Yeah. Ownership.
What?
So I played golf with the guy that runs the Florida State collective and NIL deal. And we were sitting there playing when Jordan Travis got hurt. So I guess he got a call from Caleb Williams' team and handlers. And they were like, yeah, we're interested in transferring to Florida State. This is like mid-season. And they're like, oh, I mean, yeah, that'd be freaking awesome. We get, Heisman winner. What do you want? He said, I want $10 million. And they were like, you're joking, right? Like, you want $10 million for half a season? Or I guess it was a little bit longer than half a season, but I mean, that's just insane.
Dude,
the entitlement, that's a huge issue in not only sports, but in the freaking country right now. Just people just are entitled for no damn reason.
Well, you had the kid that backed out of his letter of intent to Florida because he said that they reneged on 14 million. Was it 14 million?
13, yeah.
13 million. He went to Arizona State, and then he just transferred. Now he's going to Georgia. You think Kirby and you think Kirby's paying him 13 million to go to Athens? I doubt it.
Zero chance. Yeah, he committed to Miami, went to Florida, left Florida, went to Arizona State. Now he's going to Georgia. I mean, all before his freshman. It's wild, man. You're chasing money. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
one way to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. On the kind of, I got a little bit off there, but back to South Carolina. So they added two, and I'm not going to get into all the recruiting stuff with you. I know that you're not keeping up with all their recruits and who they're getting in the portal and all that. But they did add two guys this week. One from Florida State, as a matter of fact. What's his name? Phil.
I can
It's
remember
Quindavius or Cordarius or something. I don't know.
It's Vandrevius, isn't it?
Vandrevius.
Hold on, let's see.
No offense to him, but I'm close. So they added a kid out of Florida.
Vandrevius Jacobs, yeah,
Vandrevius Jacobs. Okay. And then they added a big kid out of Nevada, a 6'4" kid. They've been concerned with that receiver room, and we just saw Leggett. How much would you have liked to throw into Xavier Leggett, man? Dude just went in the first round.
Oh, I mean, just hearing his voice is awesome. Yeah, I've never met the guy in person, but I've been messaging him back and forth on like Instagram, and just tell him congrats and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, he seems like the ultimate teammate. Once he's one of those guys that I think would fit well. And back in the old days, and I say old days, back in the 2010 days. I mean, I think he would have. He's a team guy. Just wants to freaking play ball. He doesn't really care about anything else. Just wants to play ball, and that's the kind of guys you want to have in a locker room.
Yeah, he's from Mullins, South Carolina. There's a lot of JC just wrote a great article earlier this week about small town South Carolina wide receivers who've gone on to to the NFL. You played with one. His name was Alshon.
Yeah.
By the way, from St. Matthews. He was pretty good too, you know.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But I think there's some similarities between those two guys. Alshon's 6'4", so he's bigger, but they just showed up every day and went to work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 100%.
I think that was the thing that because I've only met Alshon once. He wouldn't know me from Adam today. But guys like you and Pat and Peen and, you know, all these guys who know Alshon, they're like, dude, sometimes you wouldn't even know he was in the building, but he was over there out working everybody, and then he went out on game day and had, you know, 7 catches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yep. Absolutely.
So but the receiver position, like when also kind of around when you played, I know Alshon was a big guy. Torrey was 6'5", so you had 2 big targets. But like as a quarterback, does it change you at all if you've got a bunch of guys out there who are 5'11", 6 foot, or do you have guys that are 6'4", 6'5"? Does that make you feel better, worse, anything like that, or no?
No, it definitely gives you that little extra confidence when you have a guy that's, you know, 6'4", 6'5" guy. It's like, okay, worst comes to worst, I'm gonna throw him a jump ball, and he's not gonna let it get picked off. If anything, he's gonna knock it down or hit it out of bounds or something. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely gives you a much bigger confidence boost when you have a bigger guy. But, you know, I also played with Bruce Ellington and Nate Sanders, and they were not big guys at all. But you could not cover those guys in a freaking phone booth. So you just got to be a little more accurate when you're throwing to those guys.
Yeah, I think that was part of this portal quest, from what I understand, for the new receivers coach Mike Furry and Coach Beamer and Coach Loggins, was finding a little bit more size, and they certainly got it in the kid from Nevada. My gut tells me too they'll probably use Josh Simon, the tight end. They'll probably split him out wide from time to time. He's a big kid. But that's been the narrative, is like, well, there's a bunch of dudes around here who are 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, and I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, you know, Dylan and Connor and Steven and, you know, that group, they had a bunch of dudes that were 5'8", and those guys went out and played, like Nick Jones. Nick Jones was a little guy, but it still is.
Demir Bird. I mean, he was not a big guy either. He's still playing in the NFL.
Did Coach Spurrier did he target specific receivers, or nah, you can play?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely would move Alshon around to try to get him the ball as often as possible. Same thing with Bruce and Ace. I mean, even Wesley Saunders for that point. He would definitely move guys from like the X receiver to the Z or the Y or the B. I mean, there's you know, that was his magic, is he could figure out where to put guys that he knew what play he was going to call. He knew he was going to be open, and the certain covers that it would be against, and get him the ball. So yeah, that was definitely his guru ability as far as calling plays.
That, man, we've talked about that. We've talked about this before, and I think that because I've never been an offensive coordinator, and Bill, what do you think? Out of the 15,000 or so people that are going to watch and listen to this today, probably 14,999 of them haven't either. There might be one.
No, yeah, maybe one, maybe two.
But I always find that interesting. Like when if you were in the huddle or if you were on the sideline talking to Coach Spurrier and he wasn't yelling at you, you know, talking about plays, hearing the fact that he could go, Stephen, we're going to do this, is like, it's not even in the playbook from what I hear. Like he just made it up, and then it would work. Like, what were those conversations like?
I mean, it felt like I was playing Little League again, and it was freaking awesome. He's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be in B trips, right? We're going to motion B all the way in. And we never even had that kind of motion. We never had a BIP, is what I think we called it, a BIP motion, and then have him run it like a little drag or a whip or, you know, a basic route to get him the ball and get him open. And, you know, it was just like that on the sideline. We'd have the whiteboard, old school whiteboard, and draw it up, and sure as shit, it worked. It's kind of wild, but I mean, you got to think the guy's been coaching offense and quarterbacks and all that stuff for, you know, how many decades before that. So I mean, he knew what he was doing.
How hard is that to comprehend as an offense? I mean, you're the quarterback, so, but he Like, was that difficult? I mean, I know it was difficult playing quarterback for him. I get that. Is that what made it difficult, or was it more difficult when he come over and go, well, Steven, you suck today. Maybe you shouldn't play tomorrow. You know?
The latter part of that question, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. The X's and O's were the easy part. I mean, once I got comfortable, but I mean, I remember my redshirt freshman year trying to figure out, like, it almost felt like I was learning a different language with all the motions and the formations and different formations. And I was like, dude, this may not be for me, man. I don't know what the hell language these guys are speaking. But, you know, it's like anything else. You focus on it, you learn it. You know, I can recite damn near the entire playbook, probably.
Still?
Oh, yeah.
So you can't remember what Sean Elliott brought to the playbook, but you can spit it all out.
I can spit it out. I can remember all the pass plays specifically.
You think Coach Spurrier could still call plays today?
I was just about to ask that. Do you think that could translate to today's game? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he cares as much these days. But I mean, like you said, man, he's still sharp as a tack. I saw him not too long ago at the that reunion thing that we had in Columbia, and I mean, he's still sharp as a tack and still likes to throw some shit talking every now and then. And luckily, it wasn't just aimed towards me; it was aimed towards some other guys, and you know, got a kick out of that.
We were talking to GA. I don't know when it was, 2-3 months ago. I love GA. You know, I'm a huge fan of GA Mangus, the person, the coach, everything. And I asked him one time, I said, who we were talking about golf, and I said, who's the worst person to play golf with? And he didn't even stutter. He goes, oh God, it's Coach Spurrier. It's terrible.
I've heard that from everybody that's ever played with him.
So you've never played with him?
No, but thank God, because I would have lost my absolute cool doing that.
Yeah. Robbie Lyles told me, I played in a tournament with Robbie last year, and Robbie told me that he had pitched one up. They were playing together now. Robbie and Coach Spurrier were on the same team, and he had pitched one up about a foot or two outside of the cup. He was like, man, it was my best pitch shot of the day. You know, like, and everybody was like, oh yeah, you're good. You know, pick it up. And Steve said, now, Robbie, you got to putt that. That's not a gimme. And he said, Coach, it's like a foot and a half out of the cup. Now, those aren't the rules. you got to tap it in. But that's what he said. He's Coach Spurrier. Like, if you're in the bunker, for instance, and you nick the sand, he'll flag a shot on you, even if you're on his team. He's like, he's just such a rule guy.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, come on, man, we're playing on the same team.
And I've heard that he plays like ready golf. So as soon as he gets out of the cart, he's hitting the ball. Like, if you're in front of him, he's hitting into you. Like, you better get your ass moving.
Yeah,
that's not how golf's supposed to be.
That's exactly right. That's what that Coach Mangus said the same thing. He was like, you'll go up there and take a practice shot, and he's chirping at you to hit it, and let's go.
Yeah.
You know,
he's got places to be.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Apparently he's in Columbia all the time. So
really?
Yeah. I guess he I don't know who I was talking to, but somebody not long ago said, yeah, he had just been in town. He comes up, sees some friends, and they'll go back down, him and Miss Jerry. I think Miss Jerry, maybe Mike Morgan mentioned this, Phil. Did he mention this one? I think they've talked about maybe opening a Spurrier's restaurant in Columbia.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I think she'd like to spend more time back up here.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for her. That's just kind of what I was doing.
I think you're right. I think she absolutely loves Columbia, her time there. And I mean, I know for a fact she loves going up there, you know, to this day. So that wouldn't be a bad idea.
You still getting your birthday cookies?
I got to remind her sometimes. I also share the birthday with my daughter now, so I gotta get 2 servings of those.
Oh, that is awesome, man. That is so cool. All right, a little bit more ball, and then we'll get you out of here. I know it's about to be lunchtime. You training today? You got quarterbacks today?
Yep, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock at what are you calling? Because they come to your house, right? That field that you got out there.
Yep.
What's the name of it?
The Nest.
The Nest.
The Nest.
On the defensive side, Stephen, again, you haven't seen a lot of these guys play. It's more just talking ball. But they really did a nice job. First of all, they return almost everybody on the interior from this past year. Their best players, TJ Sanders, who at the end of the year was their best lineman, Boogie Huntley, Tonka Hemingway, who had an incredible spring. And then they've added dudes. Monkel Goodwine, the kid from Alabama. And they've added DeAndre Jules from Pittsburgh. And then on the edge positions, they've added more depth as well, including something you were talking about just a little bit ago. Before last year, Gilbert Edmond had transferred to Florida State. And so we won't go through the whole story of that, but he transferred to Florida State and then got back in the portal, called the staff. And you mentioned it just a minute ago. A lot of coaches, and Shane is definitely one. You know how he is. If you cross him, I'm done.
He's done, right?
He's done. And he took the call and said, "I'll talk to your teammates about it." So he took it to the locker room, and they decided that they would allow Gilbert Edmond to transfer back to South Carolina, and he had a really good spring. So here's my point.
That's not a bad way to do that, actually. I think that's a pretty good way to do it. Ask the guys in the locker room what their thoughts are.
Yo, I thought it was a great move. I'm with you. I thought it was a brilliant move, and I don't think it was just like one guy. I think they got the general consensus, and everybody was cool with it. So they add all that. I was there for the spring game, and I'm gonna say this, but I'm looking for your reaction because it will be much more meaningful coming from you, obviously. I watched Dylan Stewart walk onto the field, the freshman defensive end out of Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in there when he walked out, and I thought, you know how it is. Some guys just look different.
Right.
Like, yeah, this guy's definitely supposed to be here. Or why the hell is this guy here?
Right.
Why isn't he at Ohio State or something?
Right.
And it reminded me a lot of the first time that Clowney walked on the field. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not comparing anybody to Jadeveon. You can't be compared to Jadeveon Clowney until you go out and do what JD did.
Right.
But it had that general feel. When Clowney came in as a freshman, what do you remember about him as not just a person, but as the immediate impact that he would make as a player?
I mean, shit, the first practice he had, we had a scrimmage. It was ones versus ones, and I mean, obviously he was starting right off the bat. And I want to say Coach Law moved Melvin Ingram to the interior. I think, or maybe he was the opposite side of the defense. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he moved him to like
Devin was there.
Yeah, Devin Taylor. Yeah. So I mean, we had Cliff Matthews, Clifton Gathers. I mean, we had some units at the defensive line. So, anyways, I remember Melvin taking that extremely personal. Kind of like Melvin. He was a first round guy. So, that being said, I remember Clowney coming off the edge, and it was the first pass play that we had, and I caught the snap and literally took 2 steps, and I couldn't even make a read to find the safeties, and he was already hitting me, like grabbing my arm, like holding me, like not tackling me because Spurrier would have ripped him a new one, but literally like held me up so I couldn't make the throw. And I'm just sitting, I'm like, was that an offsides or how the hell did he get back here so quick? Like, what's going on here? And I forgot who the tackle was. I don't know I can't remember if it was Kyle Nunn or what, but he kind of looked at me and he's like, dude, what do you want me to do? Like, this guy I don't know what to do. Like, it's impossible. And after that, Coach Spurrier's like, all right, Clowney, you're done practicing. You're not practicing against these guys anymore. And that was it. That was the last time he played against or practiced against the ones. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is if you recruit an elite level defensive end, even if he's a true freshman, he can help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's like these guys on the defensive side of the ball, should be playing wide receiver. I mean, as fast as these guys are getting off the ball. And the problem is they're, 6'6", 280 pounds that are running 4.5s. So, I mean, that is a tough task to ask a offensive lineman. I mean, it's really hard. So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, one of the guys that people have thought maybe at some point in time would have actually transitioned to defensive end is Nick Harbor, who is a wide receiver, but he's running track right now. He's preparing for the Olympics, trying to make the Olympic team.
Yeah.
He can fly. There is no doubt. I mean, I think he just ran as a freshman the third fastest 100-meter time in the history of the University of South Carolina. That's a pretty proud track program. You know, Terrence Trammell ran here. I mean, there's guys who can move that have come through, and this dude books it. But you know, Stephen, although Shane has said, he is always out there. He's doing everything he can. He didn't participate in spring practice, but in his off time, he's out there running routes and catching balls and doing everything that he can. But and he played last year as a true freshman, so he's got a leg up. I get it, but you know, going into your sophomore year, I feel like there's still going to be some challenges for him.
For sure. Especially, I mean, I can attest to it. You know, you definitely have challenges if you don't have that spring, you know, under your belt. You know, just building that timing, the camaraderie, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was still in Columbia, and I was still building team camaraderie, just not on the field. But which, you know, and that sucked. But I mean, you definitely have some makeup work. But that's what the summer was for, man. We absolutely hammered it in the summer. You know, just we get done doing our workouts at 7:30 in the morning. And I'd get the receivers, Alshon, Bruce, Ace, Torrey, all these guys, and we'd throw routes for an extra 30 minutes before going to class.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Nothing like 8 a.m.s, right?
No, my freshman year, I remember telling I forgot who the lady was, but they booked me on a 8 a.m. class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I looked at her, I said, listen, I am not going to that 8 o'clock class. I'm not going. Just telling you right now. And they literally thought I was bullshitting, and I did not go. And they were like, all right, we'll get you out of there.
Wednesday, maybe.
That, you got 5 o'clock workouts, and then we get out at 7:15. I can't do that. I won't be up. I can't operate like that. I got to get some snooze.
Yeah. And Sunday nights at Jungles and Thursday nights at Rocco's. Monday and Friday mornings.
Yeah, they're done. They're done.
Just 3 hours ago, I was peeing into a hole in a floor in the back of Jungles because they don't have any stalls on the wall.
I miss Jungles, man. That was the good old days.
Oh my God, that place was such a dump.
But it was so fun, man.
I'll never forget not the first time, obviously, but the first time I went into the bathroom and realized that somebody had ripped the final stall off the wall, and there was only the pipes that were coming out, and there was people in there literally urinating into the pipe, and then one dude standing in the middle of the floor urinating into the drain in the middle of the floor in the bathroom, and I was like, I'm not doing this, so I went out back by the dumpsters, That's a college bar.
Oh, that was the epitome of a college bar. I remember having to throw away, I probably threw away 30 to 50 shirts because of how much smoke, cigarette smoke, was on it. Yeah. I was like, I can't. This is disgusting. This thing's done trash.
No, it's gross. It's gross.
Nothing like a good dive.
Nah,
nothing like a good dive.
That place was. Thank God it's gone. But you could buy bootleg beer on Sundays back there from old Sing or whatever his name. Sing, right? Sing.
I don't remember.
Wasn't it Sing?
I can't remember.
We'd pull up to the back door on Sunday because remember they didn't sit for a while. Probably your freshman year is when it changed. You couldn't buy alcohol in Columbia in Richland County on Sundays.
Yeah, I remember that being a thing.
Yeah,
freshman year at least.
Mm-hmm. And we would roll up to the back door of that joint, and I think statute of limitations is passed here. And he would, what do you need? Well, we need a keg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Busch Light, $30. You got it.
Yep. Here you go. Here's a $10 tip for your trouble.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, man, we'll let you run. I will. We'll probably be seeing more of you soon, and certainly looking forward to that. I know I just got a text while you're on the air too from Coach Holbrook, who said he's fired up to get you on next week. So we're looking forward to that. I know you'll have an entirely different conversation with him, but football's right around the corner. So I'll send Shane a text to make sure that Memphis is on the 26. Is it 26 board?
I guess so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Make sure he's on the board for.
Yep.
They've already got the kid committed out of Alabama, Landon Duckworth, but we can get rid of that kid if he's a scrub.
I mean, yeah, that's silly. Yeah,
you know. Well, who's that dude? He's only 6'6".
We'll make some room. We'll make some calls.
Yeah, we'll make.
It's all about who you know.
That's right.
And you know them all, so if they'll listen to you before they listen to idiots like me. Man, great to see you, dude. Really appreciate everything, and I guess I'll send you. I got to get with you and the other dude, and send you an email later on a few things. So, but we'll be seeing you here pretty soon. And thanks for all you do, brother.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, you as well. And I'll let you know when I come up there. Hopefully once this summer.
Yeah. Are you going to go to Columbia? You're not coming down here. You're going to Columbia, right?
Probably, but we may be coming to Charleston. I got to talk with Perry about what our camp schedule is going to be, because I know he's on daddy duty a lot, but I definitely want to try to get up there and get some camps going.
Hey, if you come, Weasel is a member at Country Club, and he's always texting me like, "Man, who can we get to come play Country Club at Charleston?"
Yeah,
maybe you and Pat, or we'll get Stephen Flint or something. Get a little foursome, go out there and play at Country Club at Charleston if you want to play.
That'd be fun as shit, man.
Yeah, Weasel's got the hookup now, man. He's big time.
He's dialed in.
He's dialed in, dude. That's my guy.
Love it.
Wheezy. So that's who I'm calling. But yeah, let's play some golf. Just let me know when you're coming up.
Yeah, I will for sure, man. Yeah, we'll talk soon on everything else as well.
You got it. Yep, for sure. Thanks, man.
All right, boys.
Thanks, dude.
Later, dude.